What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Nerds Enigma podcast, powered by SportsNerds.com. Today, I have a very special guest who I'm really glad to have the pleasure of talking to, especially being a Falcons fan my entire life. Former first-round pick of the New York Jets and a gentleman who spent time with the Atlanta Falcons and the Arizona Cardinals. Defensive end John Abraham, who also is the Falcons' all-time leader in sacks, number 13 on the all-time NFL list, three-time first-team All-Pro, and 15-year NFL vet. Like I said, John Abraham.
I don't mind at all, man. I appreciate you having me, man. Thanks for reaching out. I think the biggest thing is these new era that we have now, that people that, like you said, you've been an all-time Falcons fan, and people getting to reach out to their favorite players and get to hear their part of life, like getting to hear their side. I was talking to Harper LaBelle yesterday, and we were talking about how we didn't have this advantage. And you was just talking to Ray Ray, and I'm looking like, dude, if I had this back when I played, it would make it so much simpler, especially mentally. When you're going through up and down in football, you can just reach out to a fan that's doing something, or reach out to a reporter or somebody on a podcast and just like, okay, well, this is what really happened. Like, this happened. The reason why I got in trouble was this, and I messed up. You can hear everybody's story, because it was so blanketed when I was younger. Even though I'm like 47 now, but dude, that's 25. Ooh, but so I'm, like I said, thank you for reaching out, and I got you now, bro.
I appreciate you for coming on, man. Like I said, not only being a Falcons fan, it means a lot to me, but working with Athlon Sports, I'm trying to have as many Falcons athletes as possible and turn them into articles and all that good stuff. But the first thing, like we talked about before we started recording, about your Hall of Fame resume, and I just wanted to say that dude from the Hall of Fame, David Baker, if he's not kicking your door, that mountain of a man, if he's not kicking your door down sometime soon to put you in the NFL Hall of Fame, something's wrong. Because, I noticed too, and I know you've talked about it before, with coming out of South Carolina, 21 straight losses, yet you were still a first-round pick. So obviously, that dude's pretty good. So, and like I said, you have the resume. So is that something that you expect to happen anytime soon?
I don't expect it anytime soon, but I expect that I'm going to do my part. I'm going to make sure that people see the numbers. I'm going to make sure people understand that I know I didn't win a Player of the Year. I didn't win a Super Bowl. I didn't have all these accolades that they think, and the accolades they're talking about are team. That's what's crazy, because they talk about how these people did this and this and this. And I'm like, okay, the Player of the Year, yeah, that's different. But you're saying winning a Super Bowl, like, I just haven't won on a Super Bowl team. But, it's just certain things that if you look at how I played, if you look at like the resume, if you look at missing 40 games and still being in the top, I was in the top 10 when I retired. And right. when it come to caused fumbles, I was probably number one at the time when I retired. So they give you 5 years, and then everything kind of gets scattered and your numbers change. You drop from 11 to 10, so now I'm at 13, I think. And especially how the sacks are now, it's a different type of playing. So you see these guys getting 10 sacks a year. It's a lot easier now. So I hope they put the benefit of the guy missed a lot of games, and he was crucial to a lot of wins. I need to find out how many game-ending sacks I had, because my first sack was game-ended. My second sack was game-ended. I had a couple game-ending sacks in for the Falcons, because I remember just the game was over, I threw my helmets off. So I remember that. So I got to check on that. That might be a stat that I might be pretty high in. Like people have the buzzer beater. I got like the sack ender. I don't know. I got to call it something. But I got to check on that stat, man. How many of my sacks was like end of the game over sacks, stuff like that. Like I'm up there pretty much in that one. I know that.
Well, I can promise you somebody's got the numbers on it, because they got the numbers on things that you've seen it before with Amazon, the stats and things like that. They got numbers on everything. So somebody knows the answer to that, I'm sure. So
yeah,
for you in high school, did you play ball as you only played high school ball as a senior? Like, you didn't play any youth ball at all?
I definitely played youth ball. I played eighth grade. Eighth grade, I played receiver and defensive end. I ended up hurting my ankle just playing the pickup game. Just kids being kids, and I was really into family then. Like, really, not saying I'm not into family now, but I was really into like trying to make my mom as proud of a son as I could. So I ended up hurting my ankle, and she had to leave work. And I knew how important work was to her. I knew how hard she worked to make sure that we were taken care of. So she told me not to play that sport again. So I literally did not play till my senior year. My senior year, it was more of like, I know I was good at this thing in 8th grade, but maybe I'll be good now. And I came out there and I was like, hey, I'm pretty good. And I kind of played when I first got on the field was strictly just like Killer Man. I don't know if you remember that game, but we used to like throw the ball up, catch football, and you just run, or you try to run and tackle the person with football. So that's kind of how I played when my senior year in high school. That's kind of how I played. I just played like I didn't care. I was just going to find the guy with the ball on defense because offense I couldn't catch for some reason. I was a heck of a wide receiver in 8th grade, and then everything just went to mush. I don't know what happened. Maybe it was the cheap gloves I had or the terrible shoes, but on defense, man, I was a beast. I mean, I got player of the year for our conference. I got all kind of accolades in just that 1 year. And I got to thank Darryl Pauly and I got to thank J.R. Boyd, my coach, because he was consistently 9th, 10th, 11th grade saying, John, come out, John, come out, John, come out, John, come out. I was in the band, man. I was in the band. I was running track.
Nothing wrong with that.
I'm shooting basketball, man. I'm doing all this other stuff, and I had a blessing right there the whole time. And this is the weirdest thing, man. Me making it to the NFL, it wasn't always a dream, but it was in my mind my whole life. And it's the dumbest thing. Like it's the dumbest thing. Like because they say sometimes you're just blessed with a certain thing, or some things are meant to happen. Like you can sit, like maybe you sitting here talking to me on the mic, and I'm not saying me per se. I'm saying you being able to have your own podcast, being able to reach out to people, something that you might have seen a long time ago. So for me, I just always knew it was going to happen. And it happened. Like I have a book that I wrote when I was a kid, and my mom still has it. I wrote that I was either going to do this, or this, and I ended up doing it. I think everyone wishes they would have put a little more time in some other stuff, but I'm making it up now. I'm actually doing piano now. Sign language. I just finished school. I'm on my capstone class right now. But I am a very interesting person. I didn't know that. I love the harmonica. I've been playing that mug for a while. I kind of been off the drums a little bit, but all this stuff is like so amazing to me because if I had the right mindset that I have now, I would have been so further ahead. And also, we have certain things that we judge ourselves as men. And when I was younger, the cooler guys were the guys that had the drink. They could drink people under the table. When I went to college, everybody was drinkers. If this person could smoke good, or if this person did this, or this person. But it was never like the artistic stuff in life. It was always like, if you can rap, you're cool. But if you can sing, maybe. That guy can hit a high note, something wrong with him. So it's just being a football player, a bit like certain sports, and I'm not being like now is they let everybody be themselves. But when I played, I came to New York Jets with Brian Cox. I came with Marvin Jones. I came with Mo Lewis, all these hard grit, linebackers. And I'm looking like I'm going to be a linebacker. I got to be like them. I got to be tough. I got to be rough. And then at the time, being an outside linebacker, being in New York, can he be the next LT? You know LT history. That's a hard one to try to follow for any man. You know what I mean? And I'm not talking about on the field. I'm talking about off the field. But, like for us as a young man, you thinking that's being tough. Like you see all these cats out here now. More people want to be gangsters and all this other stuff now compared to being, good because it's so much easier. It's so much easier to do bad than it is to do good. So my mindset now is just try to do the best I can and not back away from anything that I feel comfortable doing.
So you pretty much already answered one of the questions that I usually wrap up interviews with.
Yeah, I ran the question. I'm sorry.
No, it's good. It's good. That's what I want you. I like for people to elaborate and things like that because it's all about you and your story. But the last question that I usually ask people, we still got a couple to get through, but to wrap things up is, what is something that you want people to know about you that they may not? But I think you kind of elaborated and mentioned some things that they may not know about you just now.
Well, hey, the biggest thing about me that they probably won't know about is that I still suffer through it, but I work through it. Social anxiety, probably the worst thing I ever had in life. I think me being able to do this now and understanding that I'm a person and everything is cool. Like everything is cool. Like just because you don't feel comfortable with this or comfortable with this about your personality, or you go through different things, everybody has their ups and downs. Everybody have their negative things, but I just want to let anybody who feels like they're not worthy, just do something that's out of your character, do something that's uncomfortable, and keep doing it till it's comfortable. Like, that's what I had to do with football. Like, when I was done with football, doing TV shows, like doing stuff like that, doing things, learning stuff like that. All the stuff is uncomfortable. Even football was uncomfortable at first, especially trying to learn football. It was uncomfortable because, when you're a kid, all you see is that you just see the people catching the ball. You see the people doing all, but then you have to understand the practice. You got to understand the level of trying to stay in college and learning, and then trying to balance this, having a family, doing all the stuff. Like, man, anything that you want to do, please put yourself through it, man, because it ain't failing. I tell people all the time, I was on a podcast with Savell Newton, and I said, man, how many games did I lose in my career? I couldn't tell you, but I know I did. But I came back every day to play. Just like with you, every podcast ain't going to be great. Every stream ain't going to be great. You be up here talking and the guy just boring as hell. You're like, well, I got to wait the next time. But, this is a learning lesson. So don't say you can't, and I grew up in a household where there were a lot of can'ts. You can't do this, you shouldn't do this, and you shouldn't do that. And this is not a knock on my mom. It was just how she was raised. Going through a lot of therapy, you see childhood trauma, and childhood trauma doesn't have to be major, like you getting beat up or doing things like that. It can be small things that your parents say to you, but don't turn left at this sign, and nothing wrong with that left. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot of stuff, that you've learned that just work through it, because you'll be surprised at how much you really can do. And life is short, but you can make it long by learning more.
And that's something I was going to ask you too, as far as you dealing with mental health after you played the game, and adapting to life after the game. So any advice for younger athletes as far as dealing with that adversity? And like you just said, I think we can find comfort in in certain things that we do, and that's how we grow as a man and as a person, stepping out of that comfort zone. But that's something I was going to get to as well. Like, how would you, what do you say to younger athletes as far as the adversity that they will face after they're done with football, or any sport for that matter?
Well, first of all, I would encourage you to talk with people. I would encourage you to write stuff down. I would encourage you to look at stuff. Like right now, for my capstone paper I'm doing in college, I'm talking about CBT. It's a cognitive behavioral therapy, but it's something that it's an app on your phone that you can look and you can find how to change your negative thoughts to positive thoughts. And I think that's a lot of stuff that we don't really talk to our kids like that, because we want for men, we want our boys to be tough, rough, strong, all this stuff like this. So you have this certain way we think we got to teach them. And you can teach them with talking also. It'll help you be stronger also, because if I don't know you're down, if I don't know you're going through something, I can't help you. And a lot of us fear that rejection of saying that, I'm not, because I know for us, like, it wasn't no such thing as scared. Like, if you're scared, you got called all kind of stuff back in the day. And a lot of time it's not scared to succeed. It's scared to fail in front of everyone. But once you can conquer that fear of failing, man, life is so much fun. Like, I'll tell you, I'll be going to my piano class and playing and stuff. And like, I just learned row your boat. Horribly did it though. I did it, and I did my birthday song for my daughter. So it's like I keep messing up, and I'm always saying I'm sorry. And my teacher, small lady, she was just like, "Why do you keep flinching and saying you're sorry?" She said, "Look, I started this when I was 7 years old. You're 47. Stop being like that. You're doing great. Like, this is how you're supposed to mess up so you can get great." So as a child, as an adult, like, we're gonna mess up. As long as you don't go to jail, you're fine. Like, just I ain't telling you to go do no jail stuff. Hey, bro, I ain't telling you to go do no jail stuff. Now, I'm talking about I'm just saying, if you're gonna try like something new, just be confident in yourself that you're gonna fail, because the more you fail, the more you learn. And especially if you can come back from it, man. I tell you, it feels so good now. Like, just doing papers in school. Like, you couldn't tell me like right now that I was gonna be still doing papers in school, but like even doing this CBT paper, man, and just trying to reach out to people and actually having a professor say, "Oh my God, are you getting help or something?" Because it feels like it's professional. I'm like, nah, but I'm sitting here wasting like 9 hours a day trying to get a 15-page paper. So
Right.
it is, yeah.
So did you face any adversity going through high school and things like that, and how did you overcome it?
I think we all had adversity. I think in the moment of being a child, you don't understand how much adversity you have, especially coming from a minority family with all women in the house and I'm the only man, I was the man in the house since I came out. Like, that's the crazy thing about it. I think that's the pressure of being 40 when I was done with football. Like, I crashed, and people don't understand because I've always been the man in the house. You gotta understand, like, never getting a chance to relax, always feeling like I got to take care of this person. 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 And like never really feeling like you had a childhood. I think that happens to a lot of athletes because once they find out you're good, your childhood is pretty much over. You need to do this. You need to do this. You need to do this. Oh, you got a chance to go pro. I've seen so many people break down in college and just leave. Like, I've seen people with full scholarship, guys with full scholarships, they get to college, they can't do it anymore because there's so much pressure. And I think that the adversity was more mental and the physical stuff. I mean, like, there was trouble coming left and right from everywhere. And it seemed like it always used to find me. Like, my freshman year in college, my roommates decided to go on a stealing spree, and they took my mom's car. And they came back. The cops came and arrested me because they thought it was I promise you, man, I thought this was my freshman year. And I got into an incident where I didn't even know the person, and they said I did something. It was like, and I remember going to the track field my freshman year in college and just crying. Like, because my first time going to the South Carolina track field was my senior year. Me and my friend Coach Cheese, we went to state, came in fourth. So I knew the track field, so it was comfortable. So I remember just like, man, when I said I was waking up 5:30 in the morning, going to work out. Freshman year, I led the team in sacks. It was only 4.5, but I led the team in sacks. And then the off season was just like, what the heck is going on? I was like, man, I don't deserve all this. But it was just like, almost getting arrested for something I didn't do, and just feeling like I need to gain more weight. It was tough, man, but. The adversity, I will say it made me stronger at some points. Like, I could take things and know I had to come back, but also it weakened me because I wasn't open to be as friendly with the people because it made me feel like, yeah, I think a lot of my social anxiety came from that, getting in trouble and not doing anything. That can mess people up because you kind of feel like you're cursed and everything coming from a small town. Then going losing 21 straight games, even being the first round pick, being an MVP of a team that was on 11 is not as exciting as people would think. Like, I can help over him. Like, a lot of stuff in my life that people would say, oh, you did so good. I'm like, I was the MVP, but it was a on 11 team, so it was always just like, even being a first round pick, but being the second pick of the first round. Like, Sean went first, I went second. So, and it was second in, so it was a lot of stuff. And I spoke about this before. I was just like I always seem like you're being a runner-up. Like, I always seem you're being a runner-up. Not having, not being able to lead the team, like lead the league in sacks, but leading the team in sacks. That kind of like a runner-up to me. Being All-Pro twice and being All-Pro second team once. Being a runner-up. Like, even in the situation we're talking about, the Hall of Fame right now, I just feel like I'm always going to be a runner-up, simply because if I would have been in the media, and how relationships are. If I would have been the guy that everyone seen, talked about, if I was in the right media thing, which I was in New York at the time, but, just didn't go right. So it's all kind of situations that could have happened. But, I'm comfortable with it now. I try to give myself a lot of gratitude and not too much attitude.
Would you agree that New York media market for any rookie is tough? It's tough to go to for any rookie, like the whole media market.
I think it's good if they like you at first. If they like you at first and you're like feasible, like they can make a star. Like New York can make a star, even if you have somebody with the exact same numbers. If they like you, if you go to the right, if you're signed to the right company, if you're marketable in New York, you can be great. You don't have to be a great player. You see a lot of players that weren't that great, but they're doing good in marketing. They're doing stuff like that. You can have, and I always tell people, I think the biggest thing about my career, I don't have that play. And that's what it is. A lot of times, like in New York, if you had one like just amazing play and they can remember you from, like, I'm not talking like, old boy that caught the pass in the Super Bowl, like he can pretty much walk around New York all he wants to now. And that's all you know him for, that one pass. It's just like, and I'm not talking, even Odell Beckham, like, think about it. Not Odell had not don't take it the wrong way now. He balled out. But that one catch, he didn't have to do anything else.
Right.
That one catch,
I agree.
But I mean, he had a stellar career the whole time he was in New York, so I'm not taking that away from him. But it's certain people, like even when I watch James Harrison, Like that pick in the Super Bowl, that's his play. You know, you just see, like, you can see people in highlights and you'll see that's their play. I don't have a play. And I'm kind of, that's what pisses me off. I think if I had a play in New York that they can be like, John Abraham overtime with this, and da. You know, but I made a lot of plays, but I didn't have that play. You know, like, you know, some people just have that play.
See, that doesn't make sense what you say. And that, you know, I go back to like Geno Smith and Zach Wilson and all those quarterbacks that the media, once something negative, once an inkling of anything negative came up, the media just started to just tear them down, chop them down until they were pretty much gone, you know?
Yeah, it's a wrap.
So getting back to like high school, I know you took the gap in between 8th grade and 12th grade. Did you have, once you came back as a senior and you realized you were pretty good at playing ball, did you have aspirations then of actually, you know, making it to the NFL, or have anybody in your ear that kind of confirmed that, yes, you are good enough to go to college and make the NFL?
Like I said, man, I just knew I was going. There's nothing in my mind. And I think when I hear people talk about it, you got to know there's no, I guess, I had no backup plan. It was just in my mind. I knew I was going. I just always had that feeling. And I tell people, like, that's why it's hard for me now. And I think it's hard for a lot of the, maybe for other people, like in any industry, whether it's rap, whether it's acting. Sometimes you have your it. Football was my it. You know what I mean? Like, that was my it. Like, I knew that would be something that I like. I knew that was something that I would end up loving. I knew that's something that could take care of me. And not having that it anymore can really break people down. But I always felt that when my freshman year, even when I came there, I knew if I stayed consistent, I knew if I work hard like I know I can, I knew I could make it to the NFL. Even if it was, I didn't know I was going to be as good as I was in the NFL. I ain't gonna lie about that. But also, I think the false narrative that a lot of guys got, that there's 10 million spots in the NFL. You only get like 200 people to get drafted. You only have like maybe 52 people on the team, 30. So you might have 2,500 people in the NFL at one time. But it just seems like that it's 10 of thousands of us, but it's only like at a certain amount of time, it's only 2,500 to 2,700 people. So that's the thing that I think people don't realize. And I think when we go to college, it's kind of like everybody in there was like, oh, I'm going to NFL, I'm going to NFL. I'm like, all these guys going to go. So I'm thinking like half of my team is going to the NFL. And I'm looking like, yeah, it don't work like that at all, but it don't work like that at all.
So what is your overall, what is your biggest accomplishment, and where does being, you know, in the Hall of Fame for the state of South Carolina, where does that fall on your list of your greatest accomplishments individually?
You said, what's my biggest accomplishment and in the South Carolina Hall of Fame?
Yeah, where does that fall on that list of your biggest accomplishments being in the Hall of Fame for the state of South Carolina?
I'm gonna be honest. My biggest accomplishment now is how I'm treating my family and how I'm with my daughters. I think that's my biggest accomplishment, and you know, being able to be a father to them, being able to be a better son to my mom, getting this time to really letting them see the real person that I am. Like when I said about the piano and all the other stuff I'm doing now, I'm protruding what I want to protrude from myself. I'm showing people what, you know, John Abraham really is. You know, being an athlete, sometimes it comes with a mask, and I'm not talking about just a football mask. I'm talking about like not talking to people like you want to, or not having certain things, you know, creating an ego that you really aren't. So I think that's my biggest thing in my life. Like literally, you know, giving up a lot of stuff to have the long-term stuff that I think that at the end of the day, this is what people will judge me from, not just being an athlete. Definitely being an athlete is great, but being a better person at the end of the day. I don't care about money like I used to. I don't care about, you know, how flashy I am. I do like to be clean. I like to dress nice, but you can do all that on a you don't have to have I can have a $10,000 suit on and feel like 5 cents. So me now, I feel like $1 million, and I might have on a $20 shirt. So it's a big difference. So finding that mindset and being able to that to my kids is something that I encourage everyone to do. I'm not saying that you can't go out here. I want everybody to be rich, but I want everybody to be wealthy inside. I think and this is gonna sound bad, but you'll see homeless people and they'll be some of the happiest people sometimes, because all that stress of trying to take care of this and take care of that and do this, and they'll be very wise, and you'll ask them why they're homeless, and they'll be like, man, I'm good. All that stuff was killing me. I'm fine now. I can walk from here. I can do that. I'm free from this. And just finding freedom in your life is one of the best things. This is the first time I can say I'm free. I'm free to talk. I'm free to tell people how I feel. I don't care if I'm having a bad day. It never goes for a whole day. I'm capable of maneuvering out of that because of the things I've done to get better. Being in the Hall of Fame of South Carolina, and I've had so many awards. I don't really take awards as serious as I think I should. My mom keeps most of them. If you look at my house, my condos, my houses, or whatever, you won't see any football stuff. You won't see no trophies and stuff. Right here, I got like a big thing right over here. It got a bunch of cards that people give me. I'm really big on cards because just reading them, and because people don't understand how the small things can go a long way. And I'm trying to be the most direct as I can with my feelings. And when people give me cards and they mean something, I keep them and I put them up here. I have cards from old girlfriends that I still keep, and hopefully my new girlfriend won't get mad. But I keep pictures, I keep things that my daughter sends me. That means more stuff because I've had the jewelry and I've had the cars, I've had the homes, I've had, the private jets and all this stuff. But it don't feel as good when somebody knows you, gives you something. Like when somebody that knows you be like, here, I don't know if you have any kids, bro, but like if your kids like do something and you did it the exact same way, so they watched you. Like when I see my daughters do something I do, like my daughter's an athlete and she do something and I knew I taught her that is way bigger. And I love getting a sack, but seeing my child replicate things I've done that are positive is one of the best feelings ever, man. Like I'm probably one of, like, my daughter gets awards, I'm like the biggest one screaming, but I get mine, I'm kind of like cool. But I do try to bring my kids now, and I brought my kids to my graduation. I think that was one of the biggest things that they probably will ever see. Well, besides the Hall of Fame, hopefully. But and the Hall of Fame is more for the national thing, the national feeling, and wearing that gold jacket and really getting the experience. And once you make that Hall of Fame, you can't take that back. You know what I mean? Like even with my South Carolina Hall of Fame, and I'm from South Carolina, I love South Carolina to death, but I see all of them as the same. Like all my achievements I see as the same because I feel like I deserved everything I got. Like and this is a different view than I had prior. Like 5 years ago, if you would have asked me, I'd have been like, well, I probably didn't deserve it. I played well, but now I'm okay with saying that I did deserve that. Like I came from Townsville, South Carolina. If you listen to my story, you would be like, yeah, bro, like the stuff you did is not natural. Like, some people go to college and they don't play to the first year of college and stuff like that. I get it, but your story is actually different, and it's actually something special. So I kind of see myself as a hard worker now, because before I always felt like I can do more. And it's just a lot of stuff that I used to break myself down so much, man. Like I thought humble was saying that, well, I was okay. That ain't really being humble. Humble is being real and grateful. You know what I mean? Just being real. Like, okay, yeah, I did. Oh no, I'm up here. I did that. Oh yeah, I can. You know what I mean? That's how it's supposed to be. I promise you, the most confidence I ever had was on the football field, and I think that's why I love the sport so much.
Mm-hmm. So I want to talk to you about Arthur Blank. I haven't met Arthur Blank, but I've been to the stadium. I've seen Arthur Blank, be chauffeured to the stadium and come up in his private elevator, going to his suite and things like that. So tell me your initial thoughts on him being like the coolest dude in the room out of anybody, because I know that was your thoughts too with Arthur Blank.
No, definitely is, man. And I think the older I get, the more I appreciate being in his presence. I've been around Lou Holtz. I've been around, Curtis Martin. I've been around Larry Fitzgerald. You meet some people and they're great without knowing they're great. You can just walk around with somebody and just hang out with them for a second, and they have that aura. Like when you meet Curtis Martin, when you talk to him, you meet Chad Pennington. I've been around so many great people, and he is one of those guys. And that's another thing with me that I have to brag about, because, dude, you got to hang with Arthur Blank. You were part of that regime. Even if you can talk about Julio, you can talk about Roddy, you can talk about Matt Ryan, but dude, you were literally one of those guys on those teams. And so I'm very grateful now, man. Like Arthur, what he does for this city. I'm actually writing my paper, and I had to talk about the Arthur Blank Foundation with the CBT and all that stuff. The stuff he's doing here, man. If you come, well, I guess you've been to Atlanta before. You just see him be everywhere. Everywhere you go is Arthur Blank. This, Arthur Blank, and it's like it's something for a pet thing. It's something for children. It's something for this. Then you got. I'm looking like, dude, he's doing his thing, man. And that's the kind of role model I think if any child can have would be one of the best. And, you know, everybody has gone through their ups and downs. And if you hear his story about how he was like pretty much on his last thing, he mortgaged his house probably like 3-4 times. And then it finally just hit. And then it hit. It ain't like it went small. It went big. And having that confidence is just like I guess I was saying prior about a lot of us, you know, thinking that that's all we have left. And him, like he just listening to his story, man, and being around him. And then I don't know if he remember everyone, but he acts like he do. He always give a handshake, and he always gives a hug. Every one of his ex-players, man. If you see him around any of his ex-players, and he can like kind of know exactly who you are, not like just some guy running up on him, give you a handshake, tell you he loves you, and I think he really means it because he's changed so many people's lives. I think the first thing I said, I think my first practice, and I'm at Flowery Branch. Now I went from New York Jets when this one day was at Hofstra, so it was probably the worst facility in the league at the time. So then I come down here and I go to Flowery Branch, and I'm looking at this big ass building. They have apartments in the back for training camp and all this stuff. And I'm looking, and I'm just sitting here, and it hit me like how great this guy was. And this is before I knew about all the other stuff he did in the community. I was just looking at all the cars in the parking lot, and I was looking at and it started with a football. I promise you, I saw a lot of football. That is a lot of football. There's a lot of trash cans. There's a lot of people out here. Then I started looking, man, no, I'm serious. And I started, man, look at all these cars out here. And then I saw him, and I was like, dude, he really does own all this. And I'm not saying he lived, but think about it. If you think about it, like I'm sitting there at these teams, and now, and it's crazy because I played football for so long. I was with New York, and I never put it together like all this is his. Like, I mean, I understand it's mine because he's paying me to do it, but I'm looking like, dude, that's got to be a great feeling as a person to be able to help so many people. Like, you know, you can't like they say, you can give people stuff, but you can't. Don't worry about what they do with it. But I was looking like, that's got to be a great feeling, man, to wake up every morning knowing that you're helping, you know, all these people at one time. Like everybody in the facility, like he's taking care of all these people. It's just amazing.
So I got a couple more for you, and then I'll get you out of there. I don't want to take up too much of your time. But you played with and against, you know, generational talent that everybody knows, Mike Vick. So tell me, did he practice the same way as he played?
Yeah, it's even if you watch him now as a coach, it's the same way he was as a player. He was very competitive, you know, and it's kind of like with him and me. I don't think people got to see the best of John Abraham, and I don't think we really got to see the best of Mike Vick. I think if he was able to stay in Atlanta, and I could have stayed in Atlanta, and we could have kept Jim Moore. Now, I love Mike Smith. Like, I'm glad we got Mike Smith, but we could have had more for a little bit longer. You know, the situation didn't happen. I didn't get hurt my first year. I think you would have seen like so much more from Atlanta. And if we could have kept that squad or kept that momentum we were building, man, like a championship probably would have been in Atlanta by now. I definitely think that the 2012 team, and I seen it on TV, but I said this before. I think that was the team to win the Super Bowl. I think that was my chance to win the Super Bowl. That's why I came back. You know, even though I didn't end up, I ended up getting cut at the end of that year. But that 2012 team was special, man. Like, it was so special. I just ended up getting hurt in that Tampa game, and I couldn't play I played in the playoff games, but I was just like out there, man. So that hurt me a lot. And you know, the latter part of your career, when you know the games are going to get fewer, just like in life, you know, every year. I'm 47 now. I don't know, you know, when you're 27, you're thinking, oh, I'm going to live to be 80. But then you get 47 to 50, like, oh, Lord. Like, oh, Lord.
Sneaks up on you a little bit.
Yeah, it could be tomorrow. I don't know now, you know. So it's definitely stuff that you try to squeeze in, and you try to get everything. And you don't take for granted time. But I think Mike Vick is doing a great job. And if you don't respect him as a man now, going through what he's going through and being able
especially
to,
now, the way he turned his life completely
being able
around,
to,
from all the naysayers.
I wouldn't even say turn his life around. I'd just say transition, because
I mean, he
he
really
was
did.
always a good dude. He just tried to help trying to help people and maturing, that people don't understand the maturity level of people don't understand. At 25, you don't supposed to have that kind of money. That's not,
Right.
and especially if you don't have, like, it's different if and not knocking Arthur Blank. Now, I'm an Arthur Blank kid and I grew up around money. I know how to handle stuff. But you're saying that I grew up in this era. Like, trust me, bro, I drank a lot. I did all this stuff because that's what I was used to seeing in my neighborhood. This is what I supposed to do when I got money. I didn't have no one telling me, well, let's invest in this and let's do this, let's do this. But this is the right way. If you want to make money, let's do it this way. And you got people around you. So I would say it was just a transition. And I think at the end of the day, he might have think that probably was the best thing that ever happened in his life. We can say football did this for us. He could have been a great player, but the person he is now, man, we don't even know if that would have been him if it weren't for the situations.
So now you speak about Mike Smith, and I know you really respect him, and you go to battle for him anytime. But going back to that 2012 season with the Tampa Bay game and the injury and things like that, if you had to do all over again, would you have played that with the starters, or would you have played that last game just the same, or would you change anything with it?
I would have still played, man. You know what I mean? Like, I would have just told him, like, do I have to play the whole game, or maybe, or right. I might would have talked about it, like, but that's because I knew what the end it was. But it's like I told you, it's Mike Smith. I would have did anything Mike asked me to do. So because he took care of me off the field, you know what I'm saying? He let me get away with a lot of bad things that I did. He always came open arms. His door was always open to me. He sat there and talked to me through a lot of family issues. He did so much stuff that I had coaches prior totally didn't do. So for me, it was anything Mike said. So he wanted me to play, and I'm supposed to be a so-called leader. I'm gonna play. If I could, I probably would have talked to him more about, you think this is the smartest thing for me to play in this game? I'm prone to injury, bro. I tend to always, when everything's going good, I tend to mess up. So you might want to watch this. But I think him and a lot of the coaches felt bad after that, though. And I personally think they felt bad. I don't think it was just like, we can do it without John. They knew that they needed me. So I knew it hurt them just as much as it hurt me.
So talk to me a little bit about the current Atlanta Falcons. I think they're building something special even after the Kirk Cousins era and what they're doing now with the dress and the pass rush. And it seems like the front office actually listened to the fans. But tell me your thoughts on Jalon Walker and James Pearce. And do you think, I don't want to say that they gave up too much to get back into the first round, because honestly, I think in 6 to 7 years, you're going to look at this draft and be like, this is one of the best drafts that this team has ever had. So what are your thoughts on the current Atlanta Falcons?
For me, it kind of feels almost like me and Sean. If these players pan out like you wanted to, it's going to be a big decision on who you're going to keep. But also, if it's here or there, both of them great, you can either keep both of them, that'll be good too. So it's going to be a situation with, I guess, 4 or 5 years we'll worry about. But right now, let's get these guys running around like some crazy Falcons out here. Like, let's get them going here, going there. Hopefully that with all the stuff that went on with the defensive coordinator, and I love the guy because we got drafted together. Hopefully that he can put a scheme in, which being in New York with the Jets, he got to have a lot of pass rushers. So I think that it'll be kind of easy for him to maneuver these guys and put them in situations they can get to the quarterback. And that relieves a lot of the stress of the team. And I think people just don't understand. Last year was okay when they finally, got back into it, but the defense just wasn't bringing sacks like that. They had right. Caden Ellis played very well. Jesse Bates don't see how he didn't how he wasn't all pro again. So the defense is definitely but the defense got to be the strength of this team, regardless of, everybody waiting for Pitts, everybody waiting for London, everybody waiting to see what Nine's going to do. But at the end of the day, it's got to be a defensive team. If the defense can keep you on that's one thing about Matt Ryan. When I played with Matt Ryan, I knew I got to get a sack. We got to get off the field so we can get Matt the ball back, because we know he's going to get us 400 yards in this game. We know he's going to find Julio. We know he's going to find Roddy. That's the kind of quarterback that, they have now. he's going to find the guys. We just got to keep them on the field. So as a defense, that's what they got to be very particular about. But I don't think it was a bad choice. We'll figure it out because I know, because it's crazy because, Sean being 12 and me being 13, we thought that we was going to play together for our whole career. But we played well together. But, it come to a situation that, I had to leave, and he stayed. And so it might be like that, or we might have two studs for the rest of their career. You never know.
So does the name Shaquille Riddick, does that sound familiar to you? Do you remember that dude?
Yeah.
So I'm good friends with him, and I interviewed him a couple months ago, and asked him who his biggest influence was, and I just wanted to let you know that he named you, and he talked about your game prep and your meal prep and just everything as far as getting ready for the season. Like you were his number one influence, and I'm sure he wanted me to tell you that.
Oh man, that feels good, man. You never know who's watching. Real stuff, I think people don't understand that. And the funny thing, and one thing I would have did differently when I was in the NFL, I would show people my workouts more. Because I had this thing, and I got it from when I was younger, right? You ever seen these people, they be like, oh, he's a natural athlete?
Mm-hmm.
So I always want to be considered a natural athlete, but I used to work my butt off on the off season. I used to go to Miami. I didn't want my teammates to see the stuff I do because I felt like, even I would go to the weight room and I'll be in the weight room 10 minutes, and they'd be like, hey, how do you do that? But then I go at home, because I had my own training room at home. I go in there. I used to do my treatment at home. I did everything at home because I grew up I didn't want to show off. So if I can run this, I can do this. But that's one thing I wish I would have put more effort in showing them what I really was doing, because a lot of times people just thought, oh, this dude can go out and he can come right in here and just run like this. I'm like, man, I be at home on the treadmill. I do all this stuff. I did so much stuff that people didn't see. For instance, I used to go I had bad groin injuries my whole career. That's how I missed most of my games besides the last concussion. So I used to go to Canada and work with Nico Berg, a guy who did hockey, so I can strengthen my core and all that stuff like that. So this is all the stuff that my teammates never knew about. So I wish I would have did more of that. I wish I would have showed people more of that. But it was just I always wanted to make everybody think that I was just this real tough, invincible guy. I didn't have to do this. I didn't have to do all lies. All lies. I used to work my butt off, man. Hey, I used to work my butt off, but I always wanted just to make people to feel, because I always felt like that guy there, he was just natural at it. And I had to work, man. I used to come every Wednesday and Thursday after practice from 7 to 9 or 7 to 10 and just watch film. People don't know that about me. The coaches, some coaches would know if they were still there, but Wednesdays and Thursdays, because everybody, oh, you don't really practice on Wednesday and Thursday. So I know I had to double up on tape. And you can ask anybody that has been with me, the Falcons and the Cardinals. I used to sit there and just be in the room just like this, just watching film on my own. And then I'll come in the meeting room and they'll be like, well, why he ain't practicing today? But then I'll sit there and tell them everything that's going on. I'll tell them what play will work here. I'll tell them what offense was going to give them. And that's the thing that I wish I would have did more of. But I try to bring players with me, but some players, they don't want to do all that. They working all day and ain't doing that. But I wish I would have showed people how much I really appreciate the game and how much time I really put into it.
Well, man, I really appreciate you coming on today. Thank you so much. It means a lot for you to take some time out of your day and come on with me.
No question, man. Hey, we'll catch up again.
We'll catch up, and hopefully I might see you at training camp this year if you're down there. But I'd like to catch up, sometime during the season, talk about how the current Falcons are going. But like I said, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Hopefully they'll be 10-0. We can come talk trash.
I hope so. We'll see.
No
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, man.
No question.